Welcome to the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. Have a question for the show or need assistance with your retirement plan? Give Philip a call today. 863-285-3815. 863-285-3815.
Today's federal income tax rates might be the lowest you'll see for the rest of your life after tax rates went down in the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. But we know those tax rates expire come 2026, so there is a built-in tax increase awaiting us. Plus, President Biden has unveiled his proposed budget for next year, so a lot of people are wondering what the potential tax impact could be there. We also have some good news about women's wages in the U.S. We're so glad you're here with us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services. And Philip, I know we have a lot to get to today, but first, let me welcome you back. I hope all is well in your world today.
Hey, all is well. You know, we've been pretty busy here in Sebring.
Yeah.
This past weekend we had the Soda Pop Festival where they bring in crafted soda pops from all over the place. And man, it was great other than the big windstorm that came through Saturday night.
Oh, man.
And then this weekend, man, you can get barbecue, the 12 hours of barbecue at Fireman's Field. That's something our firemen do. And it's a big event. So, you know, it's been nice down here seeing people downtown floating around and just enjoying the weather we're having here.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot to eat, a lot to drink, a lot of good stuff there. We love hearing those happy things, those local things, because boy, Philip, when you look at what's going on in the financial world and some of our economic news, maybe not quite so fun.
A little bit more up and down, a little bit more
volatile, yeah.
Volatile, there you go. Get the right word. And then you've got all the uncertainty with stuff in Russia and Ukraine, and now you got Biden talking about tax increases.
Holy
man, how much
moly.
more uncertainty could you have?
Yeah, absolutely. And the Wall Street Journal had an editorial from their editorial board. They had an op-ed reacting to Biden's proposed budget. And I wanted to get your take on this. I thought you would enjoy this. They wrote the budget, quote, reproposes most of the bad ideas that haven't passed Congress and adds a new one, a tax on wealth that he refused to endorse as a candidate in 2020. The op-ed goes on to say the White House proposal would enormously complicate the tax code, we all love that, and create huge investment distortion. So, Philip, that's what the Wall Street Journal editorial board had to say. What's your thought?
Well, you know, I looked through that article, and you know, I want to say that our tax code is already complicated. To add another layer of complication to it is, you know, it's just not a good thing. Mm-hmm. And I know that in that whole little piece that I read through, it also said, you know, this is only going to affect that wealth tax is only going to affect 0.1%.
That's what they're saying right now, right?
What they're saying, right? 0.1%. But I want to think back to the one that gets me the most is the alternative minimum tax, because, you know, it came into effect back in the 60s, mid to late 60s. It was a 10% flat tax. Mm-hmm. But you know what? And it was only supposed to affect the wealthy people.
Right. Uber
only
wealthy, not That's everybody. Right.
Not everybody. I'm going to tell you what. You fast forward to the 90s, and the middle income people were being affected by the alternative minimum tax. I had clients that were having to pay the alternative minimum tax, and they were just middle income folks. Mm-hmm. It did not adjust for inflation. You know, so what may start out as a small thing, just affecting a small group of people, can easily morph into something that affects every one of us, and that's a problem.
Such a great point, something we do not want to lose sight of when you look at how these things are proposed and the small number of people they are supposed to impact, and then what that turns into over time. Definitely a great point there. And Philip, you know, of course, before all of this stuff was even announced, the president's budget was even announced, we knew tax increases were already on the horizon because the current tax policy is going to expire in just a few short years. That's another important piece of this. How do you help people take advantage of existing opportunities to help protect their income from higher taxes in retirement?
You know, you're right, Jen. I mean, we already have a built-in tax increase coming, you know, about I think it's about 3 years. That's going to take effect. It is. And so here's what I have noticed, and just from some of my background in tax, there's a lot of folks that I see wasting tax brackets, where they could be taking advantage of a 0% tax bracket or a 10% tax bracket, taking some extra money out of their IRAs or taking money out of their IRAs for the first time because they're not paying any taxes at all. That is not good. I mean, people need to take advantage of all the advantages they have. Mm-hmm. And that's an area that I see people really mismanaging their IRAs. And so we've sat down with a lot of our clients to in our review process, looking at tax returns, say, okay, what are we doing? You didn't pay any taxes last year. Maybe it makes sense for you to start taking some money out of your IRA or doing a Roth conversion. There's a lot of possibilities out there. And that's one of the reasons that we created our core retirement design, to help people really look at the tax implications that are going to be there, but more importantly, to help take some of the uncertainty out of their portfolio by knowing how much risk they have and making sure that their portfolio really and truly lines up with the amount of risk they're comfortable with. Folks, listen, give us a call at 863-285-3815 to schedule your core retirement design. It's that easy. It's that simple. Just give us a call at 863-285-3815.
Talking today with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services. That number, one more time, is 863-285-3815. 3815. I did want to get to some positive news today, Philip, because we do have some good news as it relates to women preparing for retirement. Wage growth for American women is increasing at a faster rate than it is for men. I have some numbers here. Female wages up 4.4% in February from a year earlier. That compares to a 4.1% increase in male wages, and that is the sixth straight month that women's wage growth outpaced men's. So that's a positive trend for the ladies out there, Philip. But let's just talk about some of the challenges women face as they enter retirement, because it is a little bit unique for women who potentially who may have earned a little bit less and might live a little bit longer in retirement than men.
It is. One of the things that I did see looking at some of the reports that I kind of glanced through is that, women generally save about 68 cents for retirement compared to $1 for every that men put away. So there's a disparity there. Another area that is somewhat concerning is that usually because of the difference in wages, women's Social Security benefits, a lot of times they take some time out of working to raise kids, or their wages are just less in general. And so their Social Security benefits are less than men's Social Security benefits. And so that's another area of concern that we want to make sure that when a couple comes in to visit with us and we talk about Social Security, too often we're looking at when can I take it? And they don't look at the fact that, hey, look, at some point, generally speaking, the husband's going to pass away first. Mm-hmm. Not always, but statistically speaking.
A lot of times that's how it works out, right?
That's right. And so I look at Social Security a lot of times a little bit differently. What am I going to leave my spouse, right? Because they're going to get the higher of the two. And so we look at more as a death benefit as well. Here's what I'm leaving my spouse when I pass away, a higher benefit. And so we take that into consideration when we start looking at Social Security benefits, Jen.
That is such a great point and something to think about. And, as we talk a little bit about wages on the rise in general, for those who are trying to build up their savings for retirement, and let's say that's them, they do have a pay increase, they get a raise this year, what do they consider doing to make a positive impact on their future rather than just spending a little bit more when more money comes in?
That's what we want to do, right?
And with inflation, what we do a lot,
feel like, with inflation, it may feel like we need to do that. But I would caution you, encourage you, if at all possible, to take that raise and put it into your 401k, right? Let's just take it, put it in your 401k. If you have a Roth provision within that 401k, use that Roth provision, because that way it's going to grow tax-free down the road. So you can help in two ways, right? Build up for retirement, make it tax-free. That's a win-win.
really something you want to think about. And you mentioned that word taxes. Today's federal income tax rates, we started off the show with this, could be the lowest you'll see for the rest of your life after they went down with the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. But Philip, we know those tax rates expire come 2026. There are all sorts of proposals out there to increase taxes that have been proposed by the president. There are some things sitting with Congress right now. So at this point, it is not a matter of if, but when taxes will go up. And Philip, that's something that we don't want to lose sight of.
You're absolutely right. Jen, we don't want to assume folks out there won't be impacted by the Democrats' tax increase proposal because, you think, well, I'm not a big corporation or I'm not, quote, wealthy enough. I bet just about everyone listening to the show today has a few areas where they can become a little bit more tax efficient with their retirement money. Folks, listen, I want to help you understand the potential impact taxes can have on your retirement savings. Learn about ways to reduce or possibly even eliminate taxes in retirement, and then create an income strategy so that your retirement income lasts as long as you need it to last. If you save at least $150,000 for retirement, give us a call at 863-285-3815, and we can help you go over your retirement accounts and uncover what your possible tax liabilities are going to be in the future. We'll talk about some of the strategies that can help you reduce your taxes down the road. Folks, listen, it can mean tens of thousands of dollars back in your pocket to spend the way you want to in retirement instead of giving them to Uncle Sam. Remember, there's no cost, there's no obligation. Call right now at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
And remember, there's just a short window of opportunity to take action to keep taxes from taking too much of a bite out of your savings. As Philip said just a moment ago, it could mean tens of thousands of dollars back in your pocket. That number to call again is 863-285-3815. This is the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services in Sebring. We'll be back in just a moment with more insights from Philip. Stay with us.
Call Philip Statler today to get started on your complimentary financial x-ray report. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
Time for today's trivia question. How many federal tax brackets are there currently in the U.S.? Is it A, 4, or B, 7? The answer coming up in 60 seconds. Are you near retirement and facing a layoff? You may have some important decisions to make regarding your 401k. If you don't work there, should your money stay? This decision could be critical to your retirement. Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services have worked with many families with these types of decisions and understand your options. We can look at the options for your 401k that could save you on taxes down the road. Call Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services and schedule your complimentary 401k review at 863-285-3815. Philip and the team are ready to assist you no matter how, by phone, video, or with an in-person visit. Call Philip Statler and the Statler Financial Services team today for your 401k review. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Our firm offers insurance services and may not give tax advice. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. How many federal tax brackets are there currently in the U.S.? Is it A, 4, or B, 7? The answer is 7. Save yourself from overpaying in taxes in retirement by contacting Philip Statler and Statler Financial Services, 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services. Philip is the inaugural Highlander Award winner for Financial Representative of the Year. Check him out online at statlerfinancial.com. And Philip, some exciting news here. Wall Street Journal says the hot new advantage in sports is being old. I mean, let's talk about Tom Brady, Phil Mickelson, Sue Bird, Venus Williams. All of these people are flipping the script on the traditional mindset that youthful vigor and strength prevail over wisdom and experience. And of course, we use this word old when we're talking about these people in their 40s and 50s.
Let's be careful now.
Right. They're old for athletes, right? For the world of sports, we call them old, but they're really not. Phil Mickelson, now the oldest majors champion, of course, winning the 2021 PGA Championship at age 50. And after winning, when he had his kind of post championship press conference, he told the media that age isn't a reason to not be able to succeed. And I love this quote. So take a listen here.
The point is that there's no reason why I or anybody else can't do it at a later age. It just takes a little bit more work.
Just a little bit more work, and he beats guys half his age in that championship. As somebody who helps people get ready to retire, Philip, what do you take from that mindset?
Well, I think you have to have the mindset that, one, you have to work a little harder, right? I mean, it's not just going to be given to you. You have to work a little harder. You have to be prepared to put that work in so that you have the retirement that you always dreamed of. It doesn't just pop up out of a box and, hey, here's a happy retirement. It takes some work, and it takes some planning, and it takes I'm going to say a shift in mindset, right? Because up until people retire, what are they concerned about? Accumulating money, right? They want the biggest, they're trying to fill that bucket of money as best they can. They want it heaping over. And then when they switch to retirement, now they don't have a job. They're not contributing to that. So now it's a matter of keeping what they have and being able to live off of that for the rest of their lives. And so that's just a different mindset. And people, is different. And it takes a different type of advisor to do that, because, the guy that's good at accumulating money is usually not the same guy that's good at making sure you don't lose it.
Yeah. So, Philip, I think that's so interesting. Obviously, when we talk about some of these athletes, we're talking about what's going on with our physical health. We know that things change very much for us physically as we age. Losing weight is very different in your 40s and 50s and 60s versus in your 20s. Your metabolism is very different. It's all different. We know this with our physical bodies, but why don't more people recognize this financially, that things are different for us financially as we get into our 50s and 60s?
I'm going to say that most likely, and I don't have a real good answer for that, but most likely, I believe it's probably because they have a relationship with the person that's been taking care of their money, their investment professional. They've got that relationship and that trust built up, so they trust that advisor is going to flip the switch for them. And the problem is that typically it takes a whole different type of advisor. And so that's why we see that so often that people don't make the change, because they have that trust relationship with their current advisor who's doing a good job, doing what they're supposed to do. And they just assume that he's good on the other side of the mountain too when it comes to safety and distribution planning and those type of things. The fact is that doesn't always stand up to being the truth. And so that's why I think there's such a disconnect there of why people continue to do what they're doing instead of making that shift.
Since you brought up mountain, that mountain analogy, going up the mountain versus coming down, there was recently a 75-year-old grandfather from Chicago who has become the oldest American to climb Mount Everest.
Really?
So I get tired just reading that sentence, thinking about climbing Mount Everest at age 75. And, I want to spend a few moments talking about that mountain analogy, Philip, because we just need to recognize that there's a transition that happens in our working years. That's when we're climbing up. That's when we're scaling Mount Everest. When we get to retirement is when we're coming back down. And that's actually where most people have the most mistakes when they're physically climbing a mountain. We can make some mistakes here with our financial descent as well, right?
You're absolutely right, Jen. A matter of fact, if people looks at any of the facts about mountain climbing, more people get killed coming down the mountain than they get killed going up the mountain.
Right.
And so the same is true when it comes to retirement. I can't tell you how many people I've sat down with who did a great job coming up the mountain, but oh man, have they failed after retirement and the distribution planning phase of their retirement. And so it just is what it is. And people don't like change. And I understand that. That's human nature. But folks, listen, if you're getting close to retirement, what is that? That's 5 years. Man, if you are 5 years out from retirement, it is so important that you start getting second opinions. You start looking at somebody that understands the other phases of planning in retirement. And that's the distribution phase, making sure your money is protected. Those things are so important as we head into retirement because people are living longer. Did you know, Jen, that the fact is that Americans turning 65 today, that they can expect to live 40% longer than somebody that turned 65 in 1950.
Wow. Yeah, we're living longer. You're right.
And that's a long time. And so I just feel that people need to be prepared and they need to be ready to make some changes in their life from a financial standpoint when they start looking at retirement.
Yeah, it's certainly something that we want to be thinking about. This whole longevity issue is something that we do need to take seriously. How do you help your clients get serious about planning for longevity in retirement?
Well, one of the biggest fails I see in retirement planning is the lack of a written income plan for retirement. And so that just runs into the whole longevity thing, right? So when we build that, I expect today that more people are going to live to 100 than we anticipate. And so we build a plan that's going to say, hey, look, at age 100, you're still going to have money left. So, you can live another 5 or 10 years because nobody knows, right? With medicine continuing to reinvent itself and improve itself, who knows how long we're going to live? And because of that, Jen, I believe it is so vitally important that folks have a written retirement income plan, so much so that I want to make this offer right now. Folks, if you don't have a written retirement income plan, give us a call and let's walk through that process of creating one for you. If you're 5 years out from retirement or you're already retired, I can't tell you, it's not too late. Let's go ahead and put one in place for you. Give us a call at 863-285-3815 and let's get started on some of that planning stuff.
That's right. 863-285-3815 is that number. Again, that's 863-285-3815. Philip, let's talk about how we know if we've saved enough to be okay, even if we live a long time in retirement. I think that's the big question everybody has when we start talking about longevity. Did I save enough to be okay? How do we make sure we've done that?
Well, I think that it's... again, putting together that budget. I mean, because everybody wants to look at the mountain, right? How much did I save? Folks, it doesn't take long for that mountain to disappear if you don't have the right income plan in place, right? The market can take a cut out of it. The taxes can take a cut out of it. Healthcare, inflation, all these different things can take a cut out of that big mountain that you've developed over time. It's not the mountain that's going to get you. It's going to be the saving, the what are we going to do, making sure that we've got the right planning in place to get through retirement. We want to have that comprehensive strategy to make sure we can survive to age 100, Jen. Folks, listen, if you don't know how you're going to get through retirement, you're not sure what your income's going to be, where that income's going to come from, that's where a written retirement income plan comes into play. Give us a call and let's walk you through that process to develop not just a budget, but let's determine what you need in income. And then let's create the plan to put that into place. It's going to account for volatility in the market, for taxes going up, healthcare costs going up, and everything else going up with inflation. Give us a call right now at 863-285-3815. Let us help you. 863-285-3815. 863-285-3815. Give us a call right now and let's get started on your income plan. Again, that's 863-285-3815.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us.
If you have a retirement plan and would like a second opinion, call Statler Financial Services today. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
From the pitch, swung at a little too soon.
Strike three, you're out.
To the joke told at the wrong time. To barely missing your connecting flight.
This is the final boarding call for Flight 109 to Chicago.
Timing is everything. The same is true for your Social Security benefits. Take them too soon and you can leave a lot of money on the table. Take them too late and you might spend down too much of your savings. Everybody's situation can be different, but taking your Social Security benefits at the right time is important for your retirement success. Philip Statler at Statler Financial understands Social Security and can help you make decisions that are best for you and your retirement dreams. Call 863-285-3815 to start optimizing your benefits. With Social Security, timing is everything, so don't delay. Call Philip Statler at Statler Financial today. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Our firm offers insurance services and is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services in Sebring. StatlerFinancial.com is the website if you'd like to learn a little bit more. Talking today about longevity. As one of the biggest risks to your retirement income, it can pose a real challenge for today's retirees, and we're always trying to come up with ways to deal with this challenge, Philip, of making sure that we don't outlive our savings. And so a few years ago, a contributor on Forbes came up with a rather snarky list of ways to shorten your lifespan so you don't run out of money. So they suggested things like minimize your physical activity, avoid vegetables at all costs, keep to yourself, become a couch potato, watch TV, get upset over things you can't control. Obviously the opposite of the approach that we want to be taking. We don't want to stop living because we're worried about money. We want to embrace the idea of living longer instead of dreading it. And you know what? This does happen, Philip. There are people who say, I remember my grandma saying she did not ever want to be old. She didn't want that. And how sad when people have that mentality because of money. We don't want to have this mindset of, I hope I don't live that long because I can't afford it. How do you help people solve the money side so they can actually embrace the idea of living longer?
Well, I think that, we are living longer as a society, right? And so I think that we just need to embrace it. And it is a conversation that we have to have, because I do get folks that I sit down with. It's like, man, I just don't know if I live that long. I don't know that I've got enough to get me through. Well, Jen, there's only a couple things that we can do to determine what that's going to look like for people. And obviously, there's always going to be that event that nobody plans for, that emergency, right? So, but barring that, and even part of that can be incorporated into somebody's income plan. I believe that that's what most people are missing when it comes to retirement planning, is that they don't have a written retirement income plan. They've got a bunch of accounts spread across all different places, maybe an advisor here, an advisor there, the 401k, the 403b, but they don't have a plan. And that's what's missing from most people's retirement planning situation, is they don't think about it. And so they don't put anything together. So that's going to be it. Because that one thing, Jen, will put people's mind at ease when it comes to longevity.
Right. I think the other, a big concern that people have when they think about living a long life is healthcare costs. Now, there are some people who might think, hey, if I stay healthy, my healthcare costs will be lower. But even the average 65-year-old couple, Fidelity now says the average 65-year-old couple, not someone who's sick, not someone who's not healthy, the average 65-year-old couple can expect to pay $300,000 to cover those healthcare costs in retirement. This is one of those big ticket items that we have to think about. How do you help people tackle that issue of paying for healthcare in retirement? That's a big one for a lot of people.
Jen, you're right. That's a big number. That's a huge number, matter of fact. And so probably look at that number different than most people out there.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the source, Fidelity, and Fidelity does all kinds of studies, and that's really great. They're obviously wanting people to invest more, save more. And hey, look, I'm in that business too, right? But I take that and say a 65-year-old couple, they're going to live, say, 25 more years.
Mm-hmm.
So you divide that by 25, and don't get me wrong, Jen, that's still a big number. That's a huge number.
Right.
But we're talking about things like Medicare supplements, Medicare itself. And then we're talking about what we have to pay for all the other things. So
it's not writing a $300,000 check.
It's not right there
all
check.
At once. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it gets built into, I look at it as I build it into inflation, right? It's healthcare costs, just like everything else, is going to go up over time. Now, healthcare costs is going to go up more probably than regular inflation. It may go up faster than regular inflation, but we build that stuff in to our income planning so that we're going to give folks periodic raises in their income to make sure that we take care of all those things that are going to be inflationary. And healthcare is just one of those things. And so we look at it from that standpoint because their number doesn't even talk about long-term care. And because that's a whole different conversation that we have with clients on how do we do that? What do we do to help take care of long-term care? Because that's not including that $300,000. And we're very intentional about that because that is a big concern for folks. Is how do I cover those long-term care expenses? And the problem is there's not one way. There's not one way at all. There's not one right way. There's several options, and people have to, based on their circumstances, understand what those options mean for them. Look, it all still boils down to a couple things, Jen. It boils down to, one, risk, right? How much risk do we have in our portfolio? How much volatility can we handle, and what's volatility going to do to our mountain that we've accumulated? And then secondly is income planning. Having that income plan in place so that the last half of the mountain, coming down the mountain, is going to be just as successful as climbing up the mountain. To do that, give us a call, 863-285-3815, because, Jim, that takes a different set of eyes to come down the mountain. Give us a call, 863-285-3815, to start your financial x-ray.
Listening to the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler, and I am Jen Rezac alongside. That number one more time is 863-285-3815. Let's talk about some of the other factors that go with living a longer life and living a longer time in retirement, Philip. Of course, that's more years of things like paying taxes throughout your retirement. So
the joy of retirement,
right?
Paying taxes,
the
right?
joy of retirement, paying those taxes. So if we can't escape the number of years that we're paying them, what are some other things that we can do to minimize that impact?
Well, I think we have to be, number one, cognizant that taxes don't go away just because we retired.
No, you don't get a break on that.
You don't get a pass. And I have some people that think that they do, but you don't. And so we need to look at being tax efficient, not doing things like cash in your 401k and take it and run, right? Because that's going to be really taxing to people. They're going to feel that burden really heavy and hard. So it's having the right tax plan, knowing where to take money from, when to take it. All those things come into play when we talk about, the tax question. What do we need to look at? Do we need to look at Roth conversions? Do we need to look at other things that are out there? All those things come into play when it comes to tax planning and not wasting. The other thing I see, Jen, I see people wasting their tax bracket. They don't take enough out of their IRAs to even pay zero tax on it, which is a huge error that I see all the time. So that's how we deal with taxes is we want to make sure that people are minimizing what they have to pay.
Philip, can you ever be too young to start thinking about some of these things, whether it's taxes or income or planning for longevity?
I don't think you can ever be too young to prepare for retirement. I sat down with a 30-something-year-old young lady the other day who, hey, I need to start planning now because she's looking at it the right way. I don't think there's going to be Social Security when I get there.
Yep.
I don't think there's going to be I don't think they're going to have a pension when I get there. So she's like, it's got to be me. And so we walked through how to do that, what she could save on a monthly or weekly basis.
Good for her.
We helped her set up an account to start that process. And so, those are things that I don't think you'd be too young to start putting money away now for retirement. And so I think that people need to start as soon as they start working. And you need to start paying yourself first. I know, we hear that all the time, but we do. I mean, that's the problem right now with the United States is that, not enough people start planning for retirement soon enough and start saving. Mm-hmm. They want stuff now, and they're embodied with a lot of student loans and all that stuff, just gets clouded up and they don't start doing what they need to do for retirement.
Yeah, good for her for recognizing that she needs to start planning early. When is it a good time to get a second opinion on the things that we've done? For those who are maybe closer to retirement and they are further along that road of saving, when do they need to start having somebody take a look at some of the things they've been doing and the things that they're thinking about doing to make sure that they don't make a misstep?
Somewhere between 50 and 55 probably ought to be your first look at a second opinion. Probably closer to 55 because you may have some options at 55 that are available to you to do some things that you can't do at age 50. And most likely at 55, you're 10 years probably before most people really seriously think about retiring because of health insurance issues. They're going to wait till they qualify for Medicare before they really retire. I know there's people that do it at 62, but 65, 10 years from that's a good first check-in to see where you are. And then I would say, at 60, you need to be serious about getting a second opinion, putting together some planning, and start that process then so you're prepared to retire because anything can happen in that 5-year period or 7-year period before you retire. The market can take a dive like it did in 2008. And what if you're going to retire in 5 years? Man, that can be problematic for you. And so a lot of different scenarios that need to be run through at that point in time to make sure that folks are ready for retirement. And it starts with a financial x-ray to really determine how much risk you have in your portfolio. What are you paying in expenses and fees that you don't see? That's why I developed the financial x-ray. Give us a call at 863-285-3815 to get started on your financial x-ray. It will give you a peace of mind knowing that the amount of risk your portfolio has lines up with the amount of risk that you can handle where you are in the retirement process. Again, give us a call at 863-285-3815 to get started right now on your financial x-ray.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us.
Are you near retirement and facing a layoff? You may have some important decisions to make regarding your 401k. If you don't work there, should your money stay? This decision could be critical to your retirement. Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services have worked with many families with these types of decisions and understand your options. We can look at the options for your 401k that could save you on taxes down the road. Call Philip Statler and the team at Statler Financial Services and schedule your complimentary 401k review at 863-285-3815. Philip and the team are ready to assist you no matter how, by phone, video, or with an in-person visit. Call Philip Statler and the Statler Financial Services team today for your 401k review. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Our firm offers insurance services and may not give tax advice. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here alongside the president and CEO of Statler Financial Services, Philip Statler. We are getting ready to start our trivia segment here in this part of the show, so Philip's a little on edge right now, but I think he'll be all right because our topic this week is something that you are pretty darn familiar with, and that is taxes. So I think you'll be okay.
We are pretty familiar with them.
Yeah.
But, I'm still a little on edge because, taxes can be a pretty big topic to cover.
Yeah, and I am not going to lie. I am trying to be kind of tricky here to see if I can get you. So,
of course you are.
So that's how I roll. All right, I am ready with the buzzer and the bell because we'll let you know if you got it right or wrong. So are you ready to go through our trivia questions here?
I guess I am. I'm not real sure, but let's shoot. Let's see what Philip can get right here.
All right. Well, some of these are kind of tricky, kind of obscure trivia to know. First question, these are multiple choice. So I'll ask the question, I'll go through your possible answers, and then we'll see how you do. Our first question, when was the federal income tax created? Was it A, 1776, B, 1804, C, 1861, or D, 1913, the federal income tax?
So, Jen, you got to eliminate things first, right?
Yes.
So 1776, I know. You're right. That was a Declaration of Independence.
They didn't start with it. All right.
It didn't start with income tax. That I know. I got to tell you, the two of them, I don't have a clue. But I do remember that 1913 was when income tax started to be applied in the United States.
All right, 1913.
So I'm going to pick D. 1913.
Final answer?
Yep, that's my final. I got a copy of the old tax return right there, 1913 return.
All right, that is your final answer. Well, technicality.
No, how could I get that wrong?
Technicality. All right, I'll walk you through it. The technical, I could give you the bell also because you did know a lot, but I wanted to give you the buzzer because
I'm sure you did.
Because 1861 was when President Lincoln signed the Revenue Act of 1861. That imposed the first ever federal income tax to generate funds to cover the Civil War. They repealed it, but then they brought it back in 1913, establishing the federal income tax system we know today. So on a technicality, I give you the buzzer. Although you knew a lot of the history there. Maybe I should have been nice. I should have given you the bell, but I didn't.
Well, I'm sure everybody out there was excited that you actually got to give me the buzzer.
That's right.
So, yeah.
All right. We'll see how you do on the next one. Okay. So now thinking back to when that tax system was put into place, what was the first tax deadline when the modern federal income tax was established? So our first tax day was A, January 1st, B, February 14th, C, March 1st, or D, April 1st. What was the original deadline for filing those taxes back in 1913?
Well, January 1st would be too soon, right?
That'd be too mean.
I don't know if they had Valentine's Day back then, but who'd want to file your taxes on Valentine's Day? None of them are like the 15th of anything.
No.
So I'm going to say, I know they keep extending it, so I'm going to say March 1st.
C, March 1st. Final answer?
That's my final answer.
All right.
Oh, wow.
That was the original deadline. But then by 1919, things were getting too complicated, so they pushed it back to March 15th, and it stayed March 15th until 1955, and that's when they decided to give us until April to get the paperwork done. So, little history.
Okay.
On the filing deadlines. And of course, I've got one more on tax preparation. So let's go ahead and
gotcha.
Let's go ahead and do one more here. This is just true or false. So you've got a pretty good shot here. True or false, the job of tax preparer is female dominated. What do you think of that?
Interesting. Yeah, I think there's probably more female accountants.
Uh-huh.
Probably because it came from kind of the bookkeeping aspect of things, maybe. So I'm going to say that most likely that females dominate that industry.
All right. So true is your final answer.
Yep, true is my final answer.
All right. You got it.
Oh, hey, look at there.
65% of all tax preparers are women. The average age for tax preparer is 47 years old, and the majority are in New York and Chicago. That's
Interesting.
The tax preparers are. But it's good to talk about some of these things because we've been talking a little bit about tax preparation, tax filing deadline, and those are good things to know. But
because they're coming up. They're coming up here pretty quick.
But one of the things that we talk about a lot on this show is there's a difference between tax preparation and getting your taxes filed and getting all that taken care of, and what we talk about in terms of tax planning and being proactive and thinking about that in the future, right?
Oh, that's so true. I know, most folks out there know that my background is in that whole industry of accounting and tax. And so, I just know that this time of year, when it comes to tax preparation season, the accountants out there are working their tails off getting tax returns done, which means we're historians, right? We're taking stuff that people did last year and we're putting it on the returns so they don't get in trouble. Even in all the years I've done this, which is, just so you know, is over 30, the likelihood of actually doing planning other than preparation is pretty minor. We don't get much opportunity to do planning, and sometimes I don't know why that occurs, but there should be more planning done when it comes to taxes.
Right. And so talk a little bit about if we haven't thought through that, or maybe that's not something that the person who's been helping us with our finances, if they haven't talked a little bit about tax planning versus tax preparation. Let's just talk real quickly about how we can get a second opinion from somebody like you.
Give us a call, because we do understand the tax system and we understand how taxes can erode your retirement. So give us a call at 863-285-3815, and let's walk through our core retirement design where we'll help you understand what things are going to eat away at your retirement assets. Again, that's 863-285-3815.
Talking today with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services, and he's in the hot seat right now. We are going through our taxes trivia segment. He's doing pretty well on them so far, though. Our next one is another true or false question, and I think this one could be eye-opening for a lot of people. True or false, Philip, as we talk today about taxes, your Social Security benefits are the only source of income guaranteed to be tax-free. Is that true or false?
I'm going to tell you, Jen, there's a lot of people out there that believe that.
Mm-hmm.
But I know, because I've had enough conversations, that statement is 100% false.
And that is your final answer?
That's my final answer.
You got it. I know,
because,
you didn't even need the bell to verify.
Yeah. People can have to pay up to 85% of their Social Security can end up being taxable. They just don't understand that at all. But it all is a factor of how much income you have coming in outside of your Social Security. And there's a funky formula that you have to use to come up with what that number is. But, somewhere between 0 and 85% of your Social Security can end up being taxable.
So important to know when it comes to how you are budgeting and assuming what your benefits will be and what you can spend. And also, it's just one of those factors that we just don't want to overlook when we're planning for retirement.
That's right. Absolutely.
All right. Next one. This is another one on income taxes. Kind of an interesting one here. Which state offers an exemption for income taxes for people age 100 or over? So you turn 100 and then you finally don't have to pay income taxes
there's
anymore.
A lot of people out there, Jen, that think when you retire, you don't have to pay more income tax.
It is A, Texas, B, Kentucky, C, Hawaii, or D, New Mexico. Which state offers an exemption from income taxes after you turn 100?
I don't really know. I know Texas has no income tax, so that's not.
That would be too
issue.
Tricky. That would be mean of me to try to say that.
And I know the other 3 states all have income tax. So I'm just going to flip a coin because I don't know the answer to this one at all. I'm going to say Hawaii. Hawaii would do that for their people.
All right. Hawaii, he says.
Oh.
It's New Mexico.
Man.
Yeah, and this only started about 20 years ago, but people over age 100 who are not dependents of others are exempt from filing and paying New Mexico personal income taxes. So turn 100 and New Mexico's got your back.
I wonder if there's anybody that is 100 in New Mexico.
I don't know. It sounds about the way they would develop these rules, right? Oh, man. Let's do one more. Want to do a bonus round?
All
Kind
right,
of a fun
bonus
one.
round.
Whenever we talk about taxes, we always talk about paying Uncle Sam, right? American symbol Uncle Sam is allegedly based on A, businessman Sam Wilson. Is it B, founding father Samuel Adams? Is it C, General Sam Houston? Or D, Sam I Am from Green Eggs and Ham? Gave you an easy one, too.
So we can throw that one out, right? We
It's
can throw
not
that one
Sam I Am.
out. This isn't on the enrolled agents exam anywhere. I didn't have to study for this one.
Probably
anywhere,
not.
So I just don't know. I would think maybe it would make sense to somebody that was, in the service. So General Sam Houston. I mean, that kind of makes sense to me. That Samuel Adams. He's a beer guy, right?
Yes,
so
craft beer, founding father and craft beer.
I have no idea who Sam Wilson was or is. So I'm going to go with G. I don't know why it says G.
Oh, yeah, I skipped it. It's C.
It's C. Okay, C. I'm going to go with General Sam Houston because I think, he's in the service, so that makes sense.
Well, that does make sense. And the city of Houston named after him and everything, but it's businessman
Another wrong one?
Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson was a businessman during the War of 1812. He supplied barrels of beef to the army, and they had a U.S. stamp on them because it was government property, and that led to this moniker, this nickname. Oh, these came from Uncle Sam as a moniker for the United States. So
I got half of it right,
you
right?
got half
Because
of
I
them
had
right.
Sam.
That's right. You had the Sam part right. That's right. But a lot of fun talking about tax trivia today, and I've got one more little piece for you as we close out the show. Today's federal income tax rates, true or false, might be the lowest you'll see for the rest of your life. That is true. Because tax rates went down with the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, but those tax rates expire come 2026. There are proposals to increase taxes working their way through Congress, so at this point, it's not a matter of if, but when taxes will go up. And Philip, higher taxes might leave you with a fraction of the money you were counting on for your retirement.
You don't want to assume that you won't be impacted by Democrats' proposed tax increases because you're not a big corporation or you're not, quote, wealthy enough. I bet just about everyone listening has a few areas where they can become a little more tax efficient with their retirement money. Folks, listen, I want to help you understand the potential impact taxes can have on your retirement savings. I want to help you learn about ways to reduce or possibly eliminate taxes in retirement and help you create an income strategy so your retirement income lasts as long as you need it to last. If you've saved at least $250,000 for retirement, call me at 863-285-3815 and we can help you go over your retirement accounts and uncover what your possible tax liabilities are going to be in the future. And we'll talk about some of the strategies that can help you reduce your taxes down the road. It could mean tens of thousands of dollars back in your pocket to spend the way you want to instead of the way the government wants to. There's no cost, there's no obligation. Call me now at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
There is just a short window of opportunity to take action to keep taxes from taking too much of a bite out of your savings. It could mean tens of thousands of dollars back in your pocket over a lifetime. 863-285-3815 is that number. Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show.
Call Philip Statler today to get started on your complimentary financial X-ray report. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
Information provided during the Statler Financial Radio Show is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Individuals should thoroughly review the contract for specific details of the product features and costs. Income payments and withdrawals from deferred annuities are generally taxable as ordinary income in the year they are taken. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. No strategy is guaranteed to be successful.
This radio show is a paid placement.